What's up, guys? Today we were talking about our favorite marathon running tips for your best race ever. So when it comes to marathon training, we need to set ourselves up with success, and the way we're going to set ourselves up for success is to set our expectations, our goals, kind of the race, and then the training plan we're going to follow to get there. Notice that these are all bundled in. Now, if I'm a brand new marathon runner, a lot of times the goal is just to get across the finish line, and that's really where you need to be. I definitely don't need to push too much on the time. The time thing will come later. Enjoy the process, and in all honesty, even for the athletes who are trying to perform at the next level, we're always trying to get them more process oriented as well and not as time focused. So if you're a brand new runner or you are really reaching at that high level, that balance is always actually going to be when to step away from being time obsessed and just being in the moment, giving your body all the good stuff it needs and everything else. In terms of, expectations there, that's important. The other thing that's going to be important to think about is the terrain. What type of, marathon do you want to do? Do you want to do a super flat one, in hopes of potentially running your best time or just having a relatively easier experience? I tell you what, flat or hilly marathons are pretty tough. You can't get away too much out of that hard work. You can't escape. But there are certain marathons that are definitely hillier than others, or some are right on the ocean, some are in the mountains up at elevation. Some, depending on where they are and the time of year, are known for being warmer or cooler. So you want to think about some of those factors and as you go in. And I can tell you a quick story. I remember training an athlete. She lived in New York City and Boston, and she trained for this marathon that happened to be in Puerto Rico in March. So she trained through this cold, frigid winter outdoors, and all of a sudden she flew to Puerto Rico and she just got blasted with 85, 90 degree weather and humidity, and it was a little shock to her system. Fortunately, we talked our way through that, and we helped kind of manage her expectations because she couldn't really have the opportunity to get adapted to that heat. So definitely make sure that you're thinking about that. Also, the time of year is really important. If you're getting ready for a spring marathon and you live in a cold country, typically in the winter, just know you're signing up to either spend a lot of time on the treadmill or you're running in the dark, in the cold, in the winter, in the snow. If you're down with that, great, let's party. But if not, it might be better to choose a marathon that's in the summer or maybe in the fall, where you kind of have the summer and the early fall to train. You've got a little more daylight, temperature is usually a little bit nicer as well. So those are some good things to think about when you're getting set up for that marathon. And then finally, you want to get a good training plan. And I like to talk about training plans because, hey, we've got a couple that we're really proud of. There's a lot of training plans out there. You can find them for free online. The one thing I want you to be careful of when you're making your choice is figuring out a plan that the mileage fits in with your relative experience and your goals for a marathon. And a lot of times, if I'm a new runner going into a high mileage run program that has even 40 to 50 to 60 miles a week or more, can be a real challenge. So I want to work my way up into that. That's really, really important. And then also, if I am going to be aggressive and train at those higher miles, I need to do all the stuff that is going to take care of my body to make sure that I can come back every single week and hit those miles, which is what we're going to talk about in our next segment, our emergency management system. Look, it's not if, but when something is going to tend to go wrong with our marathon training. I'm not trying to scare you, but it's too long for nothing to go wrong if we're training for 4 to 5 months in the race itself. So we need to plan ahead for when we hit those inevitable little bumps in the road. How are we going to respond? Are we going to rest and ice and just hope it goes away? Are we going to pop some Advil and just try to numb that little ache in our knee out and just try to keep running? Like, I want to think about this beforehand, because if I can have a little bit of a plan in place, I'm going to be much more in tune and sensitive to what's going on underneath the hood, we like to say, with our body. And then I'll be less stressed when it arrives because I'll be expecting it, and I'll be able to immediately implement my little emergency prevention plan, which you better believe may have something to do with this right here. So a huge part of my emergency management system is going to be having a daily mobility strategy, which means that I'm going to take a foam roller like this, or a lacrosse ball, or if I'm traveling and I have nothing else, I'm going to use my coffee mug, because something is better than nothing. And I'm going to systematically roll through different aspects of my body that I know are the trouble spots. Now, I could probably say, if I were a betting man, that for most runners, we're going to focus on a few areas that tend to get tighter than others. At least all you guys that email me all the time, these are the messages that I usually get. This whole frontal thigh area that we call our quad and our IT band gets very tight. So having a strategy to kind of work through these little areas right here. Our calves, both upper and lower around the Achilles, so being able to work there are probably the two of the biggest areas that we can kind of focus on quick in this video. And I'm just actually going to show you the way I like to roll. And it's a little bit different than a lot of people typically roll. A lot of times people will just sort of go north-south, and you can actually see the fabric of my faded corduroys. There's not much left here. But you can see all of this runs north-south in this pattern this way, and most of us roll this way. But what happens is that we don't get that full opportunity to break up some of the adhesions that start to accrue and occur in all that tissue. And when we start to roll east-west this way, we actually get an opportunity to break it up a little bit more. And what I'll literally do with my leg is I'll start at my hip. I'll take 2 minutes to work my way down, just this part right here. I find a tight spot, spend a little extra time, work all the way down to my knee. I'm gonna shift, not all the way to my IT band, but to my vastus lateralis, this outside part. I'm gonna work my way up 2 minutes, all the way up here. I'm finally gonna shift over again, all the way on the outside, work finally 2 minutes through this IT band, and then I'm gonna go inside, right? So notice, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes. I've just spent 8 minutes on one leg. And then if I have a 60-second transition time, that's another 16 minutes or so, or another 8 or so. I'm losing my math already. This is crazy. Another 8 or so minutes on the other leg, right? But conveniently, most Netflix shows these days are 25, 30 minutes. So I get a little quad work in, and I can even get another body part, which would be my calves. Same thing here, guys. I want to work through not only just rolling north-south, but I want to work on this little east-west style rolling. And I could work on lower, and I could work on upper, and then I could work on like upper and outer and everything else. So I can kind of hit these different quadrants, and I'm gonna find that I'm gonna get some different knots. Some of you guys may be super lit up in one part of your calf versus the other. It's so important to set a baseline here, because you'll start to see what type of run workouts start to light you up and when they get lit up, and you can always stay ahead. And that's gonna give you a better ability to make a better decision about, should I go and do that run tomorrow that my plan tells me to do, versus substitute for something else, which is gonna be the next part of our little segment talking about cross training. Now I'm gonna let you in on a little secret here. You can prepare for your marathon with more activities than just running. And in fact, it's not only good for just substituting my running, but if I do this the right way, it actually can build up a body that's gonna run even better. And collectively we call this cross training, but I know a lot of times online there's just not a lot of guidance there. You just see this cross train with an X, and you're like, what the heck is that? Where am I supposed to go? What do I do? And I end up reading People magazine on an elliptical trainer, doing something that we could probably say is, for better or worse, actually not really going to help my marathon training. So we talk about cross training for aerobic work. What we can actually think about are doing legit aggressive things in other aerobic forms, and that could be on a rowing machine if you have access to one of those inside. It could be on a bike. Mountain biking is fantastic. Road cycling is fantastic, especially when you start getting on those uphills. That grinding strength you get on the bike kind of translates nicely to the run, and you get a lot of those aerobic benefits as well. I personally use that a lot, as actually I'm kind of segueing back into some higher mileage running right now, and I'm pushing my body's ability to train, but I know I've got more in the tank, and so I've been supplementing those higher miles that would probably get me hurt with some cycling instead and still feeling really good. You know, some other more direct forms you can see are swimming and also water running. And water running is a great go-to. It's boring, I'm not gonna lie, it's not the most exciting form of training. But if you want something that is specifically mimics running as much as possible, and maybe you're getting over and recovering from an injury, you know, getting into some water running is a great way to go. But I have all these options, right? And then of course, in addition to this, I should have a strength and conditioning plan, because I know that if I can maintain my athletic self and build a stronger athletic self who can squat, who can lunge, who can do push-ups, who can do other various forms of activities, that's gonna build stable, strong, powerful hips, knees, ankles, shoulders that are then gonna all of a sudden express into beautiful, efficient, strong running, right? So there's a real connection there. And if I can start to integrate my strength and conditioning plan with my running technique, well, now the magic really starts to happen. And I want all that bundled into my plan. So go ahead and start thinking about that stuff. We've got a lot of other videos that talk about those specifics, but those are all things you want to think about when you're starting to build that into your marathon. Guys, I'm in a beautiful park right now, and we have dogs and Tai Chi and partner acro yoga in the background. So if we see some kind of fun things in the background, that's what's going on. Getting back to our marathon, guys, I want to talk about the importance of the small details, the things that we do when we don't necessarily think about the marathon training that matter. And one of those first ones is sleep. I can't tell you how important that sleep is. If you're someone who is going from a place where you haven't been training that much, well, guess what? When you start working that body of yours harder, do you think it's gonna need more sleep to recover or less sleep to recover? It's gonna need more, right? And that's one of the battles, right? We try to get away with less. Our immune system is a little bit more fragile, and especially if you're training for a spring marathon, and you're training through winter, and you're not getting a lot of sleep, and you're training in the dark, and the wet, and the cold, it can be kind of a disaster. So I just want to make sure I'm giving myself a little extra, even if it's 15 to 30 minutes, because guess what? Those 15 to 30 minute sections, they add up over the long time. Hydration. It's so important to be drinking not only in my run or immediately before and after, but you know, sipping on something all the way through the day. I'm not even gonna get into the specifics of what that should be. I just wanna get into the habit of carrying a water bottle or having a glass of water that's kind of always filled by my desk or workstation or my car, so I can just grab and sip as I go. And if I kind of have that steady drip of fluids going in, I'm usually gonna be going pretty well there. And you know, that sleep, that hydration is going to be really, really huge. And then, you know, the little things we've already talked about thus far in this video. You know, am I doing my daily mobility work? How am I sitting and standing at work? Am I a little here and slumped over? All those little things add up, and they can, especially when they bring to, you know, you bring them all together, they really compound into something very, very powerful. So focus on those little details, add that into your plan, add that into your strength and cross training, meld that all together, and you'll have something really powerful, you'll have something really fun, and you will enjoy your marathon. You know, speaking of additional small details, you know, what shoes are you running in? You know, how old are they? Are you running in some shoes that have like a weird funky wear pattern on the bottom? A lot of times runners will kind of put the date on the side of their shoe just to give reference to how long they've had them around. You know, do you have a strategy to replace them with a second pair, you know, when you might need them, you know, halfway through your marathon training or towards the end right before your race? What socks do you like to wear? It's funny, all these little things are you know, really important. Are you training alone all the time, or do you have a group to push you every once in a while? Can you strategically find a group that's doing the long runs just to make that time pass a little bit better, because it's a long time to stay motivated all alone, right? All these little details are important. Guys, one more thing, if you like this video and you like these marathon tips we just gave, go ahead and do us a favor, hit that like button right down below. If you have any comments or questions, hit us up as well with any future requests. We got you covered there. Definitely subscribe to The Run Experience if you want more great videos around marathon training, you want run workouts, strength exercises, injury prevention how-tos. We got it all on our channel. We're putting out content all the time. Definitely check us out there. And finally, because you made it all the way here, we have a free gift for you. If you want to get it, a downloadable marathon training guide, all you need to do is click this link in this video. If you happen to be on a mobile device, don't worry, you can go ahead and click that link down in the description. It's going to go ahead and take you to a page where once you're there, all you need to do is enter your name and your email, and we'll be able to send you this marathon training guide, all inclusive, all you need to know, all in this downloadable guide. It's fantastic. And once again, guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.